Welcome to Into the Darkness, where we dive into the most spine-chilling and captivating true crime stories from around the world. Each week, we take you deep into the heart of the darkest mysteries and the most notorious criminals. Our detailed narratives, gripping voiceovers, and vivid visuals will immerse you in the thrilling world of true crime. Subscribe and hit the notification bell to join our community of crime enthusiasts. Get ready to uncover the truth, face the terror, and remember, every story hides a shadow. Now, let's dive into the darkness. High stakes and shadows. Las Vegas, 1954. A city pulsing with life, neon lights shimmering against the night sky, and the sound of clinking glasses mingling with the laughter of high rollers. The newly opened Mirage Hotel and Casino was a palace of indulgence and excess, where fortunes were made and lost in the blink of an eye. Among the well-dressed croupiers, Jack Donovan stood out, not just for his charm and good looks, but for his uncanny ability to read people. Jack wasn't just a dealer, he was an artist at his craft. His smooth hands shuffled cards with the grace of a dancer, and his piercing blue eyes missed nothing. He knew every tell, every nervous twitch, every whispered secret. Over years of dealing poker, he'd become a connoisseur of human nature, adept at coaxing the deepest secrets from his patrons during long, alcohol-fueled nights at the table. Jack's charm was his greatest asset. He had an easy smile, a quick wit, and a way of making everyone feel like they were his best friend. High rollers flocked to his table, drawn by the promise of a game dealt by the best in the business. What they didn't know was that Jack was playing a game of his own. With each shuffle of the deck, he collected information, piecing together the personal lives and fortunes of his wealthy patrons. Behind his charming facade, Jack meticulously documented every scrap of useful information. He knew which oil baron had a mistress, which movie star hid their jewels in a safe behind a painting, and which senator had a gambling problem that could ruin his career. Armed with this knowledge, Jack orchestrated a series of heists that were as audacious as they were profitable. He used forged documents to access bank accounts, blackmailed secret lovers, and arranged burglaries that left no trace. Jack's life of luxury was funded by these clandestine activities. He lived in a penthouse suite, drove the latest Cadillac, and wore tailor-made suits. To the outside world, he was the epitome of success, a self-made man in a city of dreams. But beneath the surface, Jack knew he was playing a dangerous game, one where a single mistake could cost him everything. It was a typical Friday night when Vinny Moretti walked into the Mirage. Vinny was a notorious figure in Las Vegas, a high-ranking member of the Moretti crime family. He was known for his sharp suits, sharper temper, and a ruthlessness that kept even his allies on edge. Vinny took a seat at Jack's table, and from that moment, the dealer's life would never be the same. Vinny was a man of few words, preferring to let his money and reputation speak for him. Over the next few weeks, Jack carefully observed Vinny, learning his habits and weaknesses. Vinny was a heavy drinker and a loose talker when inebriated. He often bragged about his wealth, mentioning a secret stash of cash and priceless jewels hidden in a safe at his private villa. Jack saw an opportunity too good to pass up. Planning the heist took weeks of meticulous preparation. Jack forged documents, bribed Vinny's security personnel, and mapped out every detail of the villa. The night of the break-in, Jack moved with the precision of a cat burglar, bypassing alarms and avoiding guards. He cracked the safe and marveled at the treasure inside, bundles of cash, diamonds, and gold. But just as he was about to make his escape, a silent alarm triggered, alerting Vinny's men. Jack barely made it out alive, the loot clutched tightly to his chest. He thought he had pulled off the perfect crime, but he underestimated Vinny Moretti. It didn't take long for Vinny to realize who had robbed him. The Moretti family's network was vast and efficient, and soon Jack found himself the target of a manhunt. Vinny Moretti was livid. The Moretti family had ruled Las Vegas with an iron fist, and no one dared to cross them. Jack's betrayal was a personal affront, and Vinny was determined to make an example out of him. He dispatched his best enforcers, men who lived in the shadows and thrived on violence. Jack's usual safe houses were no longer secure. He was constantly on the move, always one step ahead of Vinny's men. His former associates, terrified of the Moretti family, refused to help him. Jack was alone, hunted, and rapidly running out of options. His once glamorous life had turned into a nightmare. In a desperate attempt to save himself, Jack decided to confront Vinny directly. He arranged a meeting in a secluded warehouse on the outskirts of town, hoping to negotiate a truce. The warehouse was dimly lit, the air thick with tension. Jack stood alone in the center, his heart pounding as Vinny and his men arrived. Vinny's cold, calculating gaze bore into Jack. He listened to Jack's plea for mercy, his expression unreadable. Jack offered to return the stolen goods and work for the Moretti family, using his skills to enrich them. Vinny considered the proposal, but his response was brutal and swift. He saw no value in letting Jack live freely. Instead, Vinny proposed a cruel compromise. Jack would work for the Moretti family, but he would do so under constant surveillance, his every move monitored by Vinny's enforcers. Jack had no choice but to agree, knowing that the alternative was a slow and painful death. Jack Donovan's life as a free man was over. He became a pawn in the Moretti family's schemes, using his talents to identify new targets and facilitate their criminal enterprises. The glamour and excitement of his previous life were replaced by fear and oppression. Jack's every action was scrutinized, and any sign of disloyalty was met with swift and brutal punishment. Years passed, and Jack's spirit withered under the weight of his servitude. He watched as the Mirage's lights flickered on every night, a cruel reminder of the life he once led. He saw new dealers take his place, young and ambitious, unaware of the darkness that lurked beneath the city's glittering surface. Jack's existence became a monotonous cycle of deception and dread. He orchestrated heists, facilitated blackmail, and manipulated the city's elite, all under the watchful eyes of Vinny's enforcers. His skills remained sharp, but his heart was no longer in the game. He was a shadow of his former self, a man haunted by his choices and trapped by his own greed. In the end, Jack Donovan's story was a cautionary tale of ambition and betrayal. A grim reminder that in the high-stakes world of Las Vegas, the house always wins, and the shadows are never far behind. His life was a testament to the dangers of reaching too high and the inevitable fall that follows. As the years dragged on, Jack's situation grew increasingly dire. He had hoped to find a way out, a chance to reclaim some semblance of freedom, but the Moretti family's grip was unrelenting. His every move was watched, every conversation monitored. The constant surveillance eroded any remaining hope he had. One night, as Jack sat alone in his dimly lit apartment, he received an unexpected visitor. It was Tony the Tiger Leone, Vinny's right-hand man and one of the most feared enforcers in Las Vegas. Tony was known for his brutal efficiency and loyalty to the Moretti family, and his presence could only mean trouble. Tony delivered a message from Vinny. There was one last job that needed Jack's expertise. A high-profile politician was visiting Las Vegas, and the Moretti family wanted to ensure he left with a significant debt. Jack was to orchestrate a series of games and schemes to fleece the politician, ensuring he became indebted to the Morettis. The job was fraught with risk, but Jack had no choice but to comply. He knew that failure was not an option, and success might buy him some favor with Vinny. The plan was intricate, involving a combination of rigged games, forged documents, and carefully planted temptations. Jack threw himself into the task, drawing on every ounce of his skill and experience. The night of the operation, the Mirage was bustling with activity. Jack moved through the casino like a phantom, his mind focused on the task at hand. The politician, a wealthy senator with a taste for gambling, was soon ensnared in Jack's web. The games were rigged, the drinks flowed freely, and the debts mounted. As the night wore on, Jack felt a flicker of hope. The plan was working perfectly, and the senator was oblivious to the trap closing around him. But as dawn approached, something went wrong. One of Vinny's men, a new recruit eager to prove himself, made a mistake. The senator's bodyguard, a sharp-eyed ex-military man, noticed the irregularities. A confrontation erupted, chaos spilling across the casino floor. Jack tried to maintain control, but the situation spiraled out of hand. Security was called, and the Mirage's management, eager to avoid a scandal, intervened. Jack's carefully laid plan collapsed in an instant, and he found himself surrounded by armed guards and angry patrons. Tony Leone was livid. The botched job was an embarrassment to the Moretti family, and Vinny's wrath was swift and merciless. Jack was dragged before Vinny, who delivered a chilling ultimatum. Jack's failure had cost him his last chance. There would be no more deals, no more second chances. In the cold pre-dawn hours of Las Vegas, Jack Donovan's fate was sealed. Vinny Moretti's enforcers took him to the outskirts of the city, to a desolate stretch of desert far from prying eyes. Jack knew what awaited him, and as the car drove through the darkness, he reflected on his life. He'd been a master of deception, a man who played the game better than anyone. But in the end, his ambition had led him to a fate he couldn't escape. As the car came to a stop, Jack felt a strange sense of calm. He had always known that his choices would catch up with him, and now, facing the inevitable, he felt a grim acceptance. The enforcers led Jack into the desert, the city's lights a distant glimmer on the horizon. They dug a shallow grave, and Jack stood silently, watching as his final resting place took shape. There were no last words, no pleas for mercy. Jack Donovan had played his final hand, and he faced his end with the same stoic resolve that had defined his life. As the first light of dawn broke over the desert, the enforcers carried out Vinny's orders. Jack's life ended in the silence of the Nevada sands, a testament to the ruthless world he had navigated. The mirage continued to shine, its neon lights a beacon of hope and despair, a city where dreams were born and destroyed in equal measure. Jack Donovan's story became a legend, whispered among the dealers and gamblers of Las Vegas. The mirage continued to thrive, its halls filled with new faces, each with their own dreams and schemes. The Moretti family's influence remained strong, their power a constant presence in the city's underworld. For those who knew the truth, Jack's tale was a sobering reminder of the dangers that lurked beneath the surface of Las Vegas's glittering facade. It was a city of opportunity, but also a city of shadows, where the stakes were always high, and the price of failure could be deadly. In the end, Jack Donovan's legacy was one of caution, a story of ambition and downfall, a reminder that in the game of life, sometimes the house wins, and sometimes the shadows claim their due.